Reversing the Boris wave. What on earth was Nigel Farage's major policy announcement today all about? Well, my name's Tom Harwood, and this is GB News Originals. Remember to click that subscribe button to stay completely up to date. Well, Reform UK are putting meat on the bones of their policy proposals. We first, just some weeks ago, heard about their policies for illegal migration and making sure that Britain can deport foreign people who come across by illegal means. In short, stopping the boats. But today was different. Today was about legal migration and a looming crisis that faces Britain if no action is to be taken. Now, Britain, like some other developed countries around the world, saw a massive explosion in incoming migration in the wake of the pandemic. The highest years on record of numbers of people coming across saw Britain in 2022, 2023, and indeed 2024. Some of the highest years that have ever been recorded in terms of inward migration. Now, to be fair, this is a problem that many countries around the world faced. In the United States, their highest ever recorded year of migration, 2023. In Canada, 2023. Australia, 2022. Germany, 2023. All of these countries saw a massive wave of migration. But of course, there were domestic factors. Visa rules were relaxed. Countries were worried about labour shortages in the wake of the pandemic. And it seems widely acknowledged now that many countries went far too far in loosening up those rules. The waves of people that came into this country, many of whom to do low-wage jobs, many of whom who then brought dependents with them, who aren't coming in to do the productive jobs that a points-based skills visa system should encourage.
As a journalist, I always need to remember more in less time. And you know what I really hate? Taking notes. It wastes loads of time and you forget stuff. And that's where Claude comes in. This is the Claude Note, a sleek, pro-level AI note taker that records and creates notes for you. Whether you're listening to a long podcast, stuck in a meeting, or on an important call, Claude captures everything at the tap of a button. Then it gives you a smart, structured summary with all of the key takeaways. It even recognises different speakers by their voice, and you can choose from bullet points, to-do lists, or even mind maps. Your data's safe too, with end-to-end encryption and global privacy compliance. And with Claude's built-in AI, you can search everything you've ever recorded just by asking a question. It's slim, magnetic, under 30 grams, lasts up to 60 days on standby, and over 1 million people are already using it. Hit the link in the description and use code GB10 for £10 off your Claude order. Save hours of time and never miss a detail again. Link in the description below.
So where does this end us with? Well, in the United Kingdom, we see a huge number of people. Gross, over 1 million for at least 2 years running. Net, close to 1 million, at the very least in 2023. And these are people coming to a country of around 70 million people. That's more than 1% of the country just arriving in a single year. It's hard to think of many cities that are larger than 1 million people. And yet, that number was arriving. And many of these people, as I say, dependents or low-wage workers. Now, defined by the Office for Budget Responsibility, migrants that are coming to do high-wage work or medium-wage work, they're a net benefit to the UK economy. But it's that third category, migrants who come to do low-wage work, who are a net fiscal cost to our treasury. They are from the moment they arrive, and that cost grows the longer they stay. This is why it is such a pertinent political issue to address the indefinite leave to remain problem. What is the indefinite leave to remain problem? Well, once people are in this country, once they are here for 5 years on a legal visa, whether that's a work visa or a dependent visa, if they're here on a legal visa for 5 years or more, they can then apply to obtain indefinite leave to remain status. That's the status that grants any migrant, citizen or not, the right to claim benefits in the United Kingdom, access to the fruits of the UK welfare state. it in effect allows them most of the privileges of citizenship after just 5 years in this country. What's the Reform Party saying they will do to try and fix this issue? After all, time is running out. If we're to look at those massive migration waves from 2022 and 2023, well, 5 years after those big waves came, those people could be given indefinite leave to remain. That would make that wave of migration permanent. And for those that are on low-wage jobs or not in jobs at all, that could create a huge cost to the taxpayer, as these people will become able to claim benefits in the way that many citizens can claim benefits. Access to that incredible welfare state that has grown since the end of the Second World War. Well, the Reform policy is to abolish indefinite leave to remain as a status whatsoever. The ability for people to gain an indefinite status without gaining citizenship, that will be abolished under a Reform majority government. It will be replaced by 5-year visas, work visas, that migrants will be able to apply for in the same way that you can now apply for indefinite leave to remain, but these are time limited. They would last for 5 years and they would have a higher salary threshold than currently exists. What does that mean in plain English? They will be designed to make sure that migrants are net contributors, and that will massively lower the number of people who are able to come. There's controversy around this, of course, because by abolishing indefinite leave to remain status, it means that people who have already been here for many, many years, in some cases for decades, would suddenly have their status removed. What's the Reform Party's answer to that? Well, it's a question. Why haven't these people applied for citizenship? The Reform policy is to make sure that only British citizens can access the welfare state, not migrants who aren't citizens, not foreign citizens who happen to be in the United Kingdom using this scheme of indefinite leave to remain. With the abolition of this scheme, there will be these 5-year visas, which are achievable for people who are in jobs that pay a decent wage and therefore are net contributors to the welfare state, but also you will be able, under a Reform government, to apply for citizenship after 7 years, not the current 5. So that's an interesting point, because currently the Conservative Party, they have a solution proposed by Shadow Home Office Minister Katie Lamb, which is to increase the time before someone can claim indefinite leave to remain from 5 years to 10 years, after which they would be able to claim that status that currently exists. Interestingly, that 10-year status is longer, before someone can claim British citizenship, can apply for British citizenship under Conservative proposals. Under the Reform proposals, it's just 7. Why 7? Why not 10? Well, Nigel Farage says that this is because this will be once you have proved yourself twice. If you apply for 2 5-year work visas, that 7-year point comes in the middle of your second period of 5 years in the country. It will have meant that you haven't committed a crime, that you've been able to prove that you can earn well, and that you will be able to apply for citizenship with the cost of that and the exams that you must take to obtain that after 7 years in the middle of your second 5-year term in this country under the new visa scheme that would be instituted. The idea behind that is that obviously they could have put a 10-year rule, but in effect that would be a more than 10-year rule, as the people applying would have to have gone for 3 different 5-year terms of visas that are introduced by the Reform Party. It's a complicated matter, of course, and it throws up many different questions about people who've been here for many different years. But the fundamental proposal at the core of this new proposal from the Reform Party is that the only people who should be able to access the welfare state are British citizens. And the bar to become a British citizen should be raised from the level that it is now. A longer stay in the country, more proof that you're in net contributing jobs, that you're earning enough money to support yourself and potentially your family, but also English language requirements that are tougher than those that currently exist. The Reform Party says this is the cocktail of policy that is needed to save a lot of money. After all, That ticking time bomb I spoke about at the start of this video, that is a ticking time bomb not just for the social and cultural aspects of this country, but for the Treasury. If that enormous wave of migration that was let into the country 2022, 2023 and to a lesser extent 2024, if those people all can suddenly claim benefits within this parliamentary term, after that claiming of that indefinite leave to remain status, that 5-year point since they arrived in the country, well, that is a huge potential bill for the Treasury. That's a huge potential bill for the welfare state. And we know how much the welfare state has been engorging and expanding in recent years. We know how crippling that has been for the Chancellor Rachel Reeves, looking to raise taxes in order to fund further welfare spending. There was a rebellion in the House of Commons only a few months ago when Rachel Reeves tried to limit the amount of disability benefit or tighten up the criteria for people to receive disability benefit to make sure that they genuinely were disabled. And yet, that was defeated with a rebellion of Labour MPs. Rachel Reeves attempted to cut the welfare bill, and she ended up, by the end of that process, spending more on it. It would be another blow to have to spend so much more money on hundreds of thousands of more migrants who could potentially claim benefits once they achieve that indefinite leave to remain status. Now, what does this actually mean for the country? Because the next election could not be for another 4 years' time. It could be that these people get indefinite leave to remain status in the meantime, during this parliament. Well, Nigel Farage said that this would be a retrospective measure, that reform, if elected at the next general election, could retrospectively abolish the status of indefinite leave to remain from those who have already received it. Only British citizens being sure that they could remain in the country, and people with indefinite leave to remain facing the risk of deportation unless they apply for one of these 5-year work visas and can prove their income and English language ability. It's a tough proposal, and it'll be interesting to see how the Labour Party in government respond. They're already consulting on the idea of making it a longer period of time to receive indefinite leave to remain, to receive citizenship. Let's see how that consultation changes in response to the Reform Party. After all, very often it's Nigel Farage who's been able to push around parties of government while not holding all that many seats himself. After all, that's exactly what happened with David Cameron and him delivering that referendum on Britain's membership of the European Union in 2016. Well, we'll keep a close eye on this policy development for Reform UK and indeed how the government responds. So remember to click that subscribe button to stay up to date on this rapidly changing pace of the migration debate here in the United Kingdom.